Hello. Good evening, everybody. Just gonna wait another minute for everybody to pop on. Always that awkward live startup moment where you don't know what to say. You're just waiting. Hi, Grace. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Mariella. Hi, Lynn. I hope everybody is doing good this evening. Happy Tuesday. Hi, Lisa. We got Massachusetts, California, Arizona. Sarah recognized my voice. Hi, Ohio. Hello from Virginia. All right, 420 babes. Love it. So tonight we have $12.99 Tuesday. If you guys don't know what that is and you're new to Peppi, we have one color on sale this evening. And tonight that color is Ocean Air Salty Hair. Make sure I said that right. Yeah. Ocean Air Salty Hair, which is what I have on my fingers. It is a beautiful color. I only have 2 dips of the color on, which I'm going to explain why here in a little bit. But I do see that we're already almost up to 600 babes. If we can get up to 800 tonight, I'm going to go ahead and give away at the end of this video an Ocean Air Salty Hair to one lucky babe. But if you don't want to risk being the winner, you can go ahead and grab it tonight on sale for $12.99. So you get a $4 savings on this color. So I know tonight doesn't look overly exciting, but bear with me because I am going to do a little bit more of an educational live this evening. Let me fix my camera here. It's sliding. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, making you guys dizzy. So just to recap, again, if we hit 800 babes tonight, I'm going to give away an Ocean Air Salty Hair, full-size color. And it's also on sale tonight for $12.99. So I just wanted to say that again. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Tiffany. I am one of the owners of Peppi Gel. And you guys have me for live tonight. So we did a post earlier and we're like, what does everybody want to see? What kind of techniques? And I was actually really surprised that I didn't see a lot of people write this, but I've been seeing it go very viral in the group, and a lot of people are like really doing the apex method for their nails. Now, on a normal day, I don't generally dip my nails using the apex method because I have a very natural apex on my nail bed already. So I don't generally apply my dips that way. But what I've been trying to do is like really pay attention to see like what everybody is most curious about in the group, just like kind of like what's going viral in there. And I'm trying to bring that over here on my live nights so we can actually talk about it and kind of like educate ourselves together. So if you guys don't know what apex mean, it basically is the way that you build up your nail product, and it gives added strength to your nail bed. So if you're really rough on your nails, this is a really great method, especially if you have longer nails, just to provide a little bit of extra strength. It also gives nice curvature to the nail bed, kind of like, and it's supposed to elongate it, make it look a little bit more like skinny and just pretty and feminine, and it helps to have or prevent product from building up on the sides. So if you're super OCD like me, you probably will enjoy this method. It's more preferred for longer nails than shorter nails. With shorter nails, it can kind of make your nails look a little bit more thick. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go over this method this evening because I do see a lot of questions about that. The other thing that I saw was somebody do their non-dominant hand. So I am a right-handed person, which means generally on live, I am dipping my left hand because it's the better hand that it's the hand that I'm better at. But I've been doing this for a really long time, so actually doing my non-dominant hand is pretty easy to me as well. But I figured, you know what, we haven't really shown our non-dominant hand in a really long time, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I am doing two things this evening, the apex method and doing my non-dominant hand, just to kind of switch it up a little bit. So I am by myself at the computer. I am going to do my best to read all the comments. Of course, as soon as I look, yes, I have a new tattoo. I'll tell you guys really quickly about it. So this is my granny's handwriting. It's hard to read. I'll try to turn my hand a little bit. It says love. So this was traced exactly from a card that she left before she passed away about 6 years or so ago. So all of my siblings have this tattoo in one form or another. Her favorite flower was a hibiscus, so they all did it with the flower, but I'm a baby with tattoos. These are the only two I have. So I just went with the little small method. But that's a little personal fact about me for today. So let's go ahead and talk about nail prep before we get started. So my nails have already been prepped, but I'm just going to go through really quickly because the other thing that I see all the time is why are my nails lifting? Or my number one seems to be drying too fast before I dip, which is really not the case. It actually falls into your nail prep. So hear me out on this one. All right, so when you go to do your nail prep, you want to wash your hands with Dawn dish soap or any oil removing soap. And you want to let your hands dry pretty good before you go ahead and get started with your manicure. As you're waiting for them to dry, this is a really good time to push the cuticles back, which I have already done, but I use our cuticle pusher here and I just push them all the way back. Super easy to do. If you're new to grooming your nails in general, you're probably going to have some cuticle overgrowth on your nail bed, which you're going to have to really scrape it off or buff it off or any of that. So you really want to make sure you get all that overgrown cuticle off the nail bed. Push your cuticles back. You want to go ahead and file and shape your nails at this time. This is a really good time to do it. That way, after you do your pedicure, you're only going to be doing a touch-up. And then you want to go ahead and buff all of your nail beds really lightly. I use a very used buffer because it's less abrasive to my nail bed and it does just the right amount to get the job done. So after you do all that, if you do have, actually let me rewind a little bit. If you do have oily nails, try to fix this camera again, it's driving me crazy. If you do have oily nails, before you buff your nail bed, swipe your nails with acetone to kind of dry them out a little bit, and then go ahead and buff your nail bed. The order of which you do that is really important because if you do it after you're buffing, you're kind of more or less smoothing it back out. So you really want to do that before and then buff. That way you give your nail a little bit of texture for the powder to grab onto and hold onto. If your nails are too slick, when you go to dip and you see bare spots, it's not because your number one dried up, it's because your nails were too slick to grab onto the powder. So there's a good chance that you'll probably see it on one of my nails. It happens, it is what it is. And then you just kind of aim to do better the next time. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So with the Apex method, there's 5 dips with it, I think is what I saw on the thing. I'm only gonna be doing about 3.5, and I'm going to show you my way of doing it. If you are trying to build more of an apex, then you can add a little bit more to create that curvature. But like I said, I have already a little bit of a curve going on right here, so I don't really need to build too much, or else I'll have a camel hump in the middle of my nail. Alright, just reading comments really quick. Yeah, this is actually, I think, our first tutorial doing the Apex method. And again, this is my version. This is the cheat, quick, easy version because I don't personally need to do any extra, adding to it. So let me show you on this other hand. You can see where I created a really just gradual curve from here going down. And what the apex is doing, when I was talking to you earlier about creating strength, is if you touch the end of your nail, and this nail is a little bit damaged from, gosh, I don't even know, like so long ago. I don't even remember what I did, but you can see it growing out here on the tip. Anyways, if you touch your tip and you see where that like white is showing up, this is the weak part of your nail, where if you're like really rough on your nail, you're more than likely to break and rip it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply from the top of that white down, just one straight thin dip of clear. And I chose to do clear underneath because it's a very thin powder, because there's no pigment added to it. But what I'm going to do is just one little strip that just gives a little bit of extra strength right there for my Peppi cure. And then I'm going to dip 2 dips of color and 1 more dip of clear. So you can see, like, again, see where the white is lighting up? I'm going to cover it from here down. And I'm not even going to go all the way on my sides. It's just one like little landing strip right here. And it's going to create that slight, very slight curvature. Some people like it more than what I have here, but like I said, I kind of have a natural one, and I have very thick nail beds already that I don't want to have a camel hump in the middle. So let's go ahead and get started. And give me 1 second so I can post the $12.99 color for you guys. Oh no, it didn't sync. My notes didn't sync, you guys. Oh gosh. 1 second. I'm gonna get this up and going for you. Just so you guys know, again, the $12.99 color is Ocean Air Salty Hair, and it's only while we are live, but I am pinning the link right now at the bottom of the live so it's easy for you to find. If it would post, there it goes. All right, so now it should be nice and easy for you guys to find. All right, so again, this tutorial is going to be super educational. If you find it boring, I'm sorry, but if you can stick through it, please do, because it's really going to change your Peppi game, and you're going to thank me for it later. Just kidding, but you are going to love it later. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I am using my number one ready. This camera is going to drive me nuts tonight. See if I can tighten it one more time. It will bother me the whole night, ladies. I'm one of those people. Alright, so I'm going to take my number one ready. Real quick bottle care, very important. Never get the liquid on the top of the rim or the side of the rim. Just remember, this is an adhesive. So just like any type of glue, if it gets on the bottle rim or neck, it's going to glue itself shut. So to avoid that completely, just use the inside wiper inside of the bottle to remove the excess liquid off your brush. And as you guys can see, when I go to apply my Peppi cure, there's hardly any liquid on my brush, so I'm applying just a thin amount of liquid. So whether you dip your nails the traditional way that we teach you or doing the apex method, you still have to use a thin amount of liquid. That is the only way to get a thin, natural look in the end. So we're gonna go ahead. As I was doing it, I kind of like to touch to see like where my pressure point was, to give me an idea of how far up I want it to apply the clear. This will take me a little bit longer than usual because I am working with my non-dominant hand, since that was another highly requested thing that I've been seeing a lot. All right, so I'm just doing one little tiny strip, and I'm doing it right in the middle of the nail as even as I can, so it creates a perfect, smooth, even little apex. A traditional apex, again, is going to have 1 or 2 more dips building this up, but I do not need that personally, so I'm just showing you a quick, easy cheat way to do it. And again, if we hit 800 babes tonight, I will give away an Ocean Air Salty Hair at the end of the live. I know you guys want to win, so make sure you're sharing the live and inviting your friends so they can check it out. All right, and now I'm going in on my pointer. And again, I'm just doing this nice and thin. No matter which way you dip, your nails always have to be, the liquid always has to be applied nice and thin. My thumb is a little bit wider, so I am going to do 1.5 strokes here just to cover up some of that whiteness. Otherwise, it won't look too even. And just nice and thin, and then dip right into the powder. All right, so now we're going to put clear to the side because I'm not going to use it again until my final dip at this point. So now we're going to go ahead. You still have to brush off that excess powder off all of your nails. So now you can see, like, my nail already has a natural curve, but what that clear did was add it just a little bit more to really create a nice apex. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go in and get on with our color, Ocean Air Salty Hair. That is on sale tonight for $12.99 only while I am live. Luckily, we have a little bit of time. Before we dip, I'm going to take the back end of my cuticle pusher and just stir up the powder to make sure it's nice and loose. This is really helpful in getting a nice, smooth, even application. And before I dip, I am missing one tool that I really wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, let me see if I can find it really fast. It might have fallen or something. Oh man, I don't know where it went. You guys, I am a mess. Why do things just walk up and they just walk away? They just disappear. All right, where did it go? I know, you guys are probably like laughing as you hear me mumble, wondering where my little stick thing went. Alright, I cannot find it, so I am just going to have to use the end of the cuticle pusher today, which will work just as fine. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get on with our first full dip. Yeah, who all is getting this color? This color is so pretty. Let me show you guys again. Like, it is so, so pretty. Also, I'm going to go over my cuticle lines, which is what I was looking for just a minute ago, but it's okay. I'll use something else. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get dipping with our color, Ocean Air Salty Hair. I'm gonna go almost all the way to the cuticle, and I am gonna cover into the side walls of the nail. And I'm really just taking my time, doing the same methods that I would do on my other hand. Just going really nice and slow, using a thin amount of liquid because I really want a nice natural look when I'm all done. If you guys notice, I never plop my brush of liquid by the cuticle first. I always start in the middle of the nail, spread it out, and slowly work the liquid up. This really helps me to keep a nice, clean cuticle line and gives me full control over my liquid and where I'm spreading it. Having control over your liquid is very important. It really affects the outcome of your Peppi cure. All right. Danielle, I am working on my non-dominant hand now. As for tips, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder in the beginning because it's not your dominant hand, but if you go nice and slow, you're going to get the same result as you would on your dominant hand, but also the more you do it, you really gain muscle memory on working with that hand, and it just becomes easier and easier. So like anytime you like do anything repetitively, like you always get that muscle memory, and it really just helps in the long run. So the more practice you do, the better you get. All right, again, just going really thin with the liquid, evening it out, and then dipping into a loosened jar of powder. And you can see like the coverage on this color is very nice, which is why I only chose to do 2 dips. So at the end of this live, I'm gonna end up having about 3.5 dips on my nails. And again, for anybody who does do the Apex method, this is my cheat version. This is not the whole let's do 5 dips thing, just because I don't need it personally. But if you do need it, please feel free to do it. Everybody's different, so everybody's gonna have a slightly different way of applying their nails. The only thing you can't change is the way the system works together to cure in the end, which we'll go over that as we get there. So I am working on my thumb, and you'll see this method was actually pretty quick. It didn't take me any longer than if I were to just do 3 dips of the ocean air. It was about the same. Then we're just going to go right into the color. All right, so that is our first dip of color. I'm now going to take the Peppi duster brush, which you can get on the website, and I'm just going to go ahead and dust off all the excess powder. I usually don't do my thumb right away because I want it to set for another minute while I work on these fingers again, since I just painted it. If you ever find that your like brush bristles are getting hard, it's because you're wiping it too soon after you dip. So a little bit of the powder is like sticking because it's still wet to the end of your brush. So to avoid that, just, you know, give it a nice minute to let it set and kind of do its thing before you wipe it. This color is Ocean Air Salty Hair, and it is on sale tonight for $12.99. Glitter mats are coming back soon. Yay, they're coming back. Elizabeth, if your Apex came out chunky, girl, maybe try doing it with the 3.5 dips like I'm doing this evening, or just watch really how you're applying your liquid, because if the base isn't applied thin, it doesn't matter which way you dip, it's still going to come out thick. So your control and your like level of thickness or thinness in your outcome is truly based on how much liquid you're applying to your nail. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go in with my second dip, and I am going to cover all the way, stopping a hairline before the cuticle. And just really make sure I'm covering my whole nail, because this is going to be my last color, my last dip color, sorry, on my nail bed, because I'm going to do clear after this. So here I would usually use like the little orange wood cuticle stick, but apparently it ran off on me and I can't find it. So I'm just gonna use the edge of my cuticle pusher on this end just because it has a nice little point. And what I did was just really just kind of run it right along the edge in between my cuticle and the powder to make sure it's a nice, like, clean, finished edge. So it's much easier, I will say, to do with the orange wood stick than it is with this. This is a little bit thicker and harder to maneuver. But just so you know, that's what I use. But I'm going to pull my cuticle back. No powder is on my cuticle. It's very important that there's no powder on your cuticle, that you stop a hairline before. Let me pull it one more time so you guys can see. You can see a little bit right there. That's what the orange wood stick is really good for, not just cleaning up your cuticle, but really just making sure there's no product on it so it prevents lifting in the long run. Jennifer just ordered a Peppi duster brush. Thank you, girl. Yeah, if you guys are getting ocean or salty hair, definitely add that brush to your cart because they are super pretty and they're really nice. So now I'm going in onto my next finger. So just remember, a thin amount of liquid. You can add more, but you can't take it away. So start off with a little bit and add more if you need to. But don't start off with a lot and try to thin it out. Your nails will still end up thick in the end. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just dip right into the jar. And then I'm gonna make sure, using my cuticle pusher, to clean up my free edge here and make sure there's no powder on my cuticle, which is perfect. So as you guys can see, like, the cuticle is starting to come out really nice on those two fingers, not my middle finger, just by doing that method, just by going slow and checking my work in the end. Sabrina, this will help you, girl. This will help you. You'll love Peppi. So Sabrina's question was, she has really thin nails and they tear and break. Will Peppi help her? Yes, absolutely. Peppi provides a lot of strength to your natural nail, as well as some added vitamins and calcium in the product that really just help your nail over time. So now I'm going really slow, just kind of fanning my brush so it matches the shape of my cuticle, and just making sure I get a nice, good full coverage because it's my last dip of color. And going in. Perfect. I am happy. And now I'm just cleaning it out. The more you guys do your Peppi, the more you practice, like, the better it's gonna be every time, I promise. Like, whether you do 1 manicure to 10 manicures, you're gonna see drastic improvement, or whether you do 10 manicures to 100 manicures, you're gonna see drastic improvement. So Becky says, my mani came off in 1 day. Girl, that is all in your prep. If you do not prep your nails, it will pop off. Like, prep is so important. If there's oil on your nails, if there's shine on your nails, it's too slick for the powder to grab and hold on to your nails. It needs texture for it to last and for it to stay. So we have a lot of posts about how to prep your nails properly. I also talked about it in the beginning of the video. If you want to rewind and check it out, or you can always just message us and we're happy to help as well. So now we're going in on the pointer. Y'all, this color is just so pretty. I love this color. I've never worn it. I can't believe I've never worn it either. if you're looking for a summer color, or shoot, just a really pretty blue that you don't care when you wear it color, like me, this is your color. This is so pretty. So now I'm just gonna clean up my cuticles. Just make sure it's nice. There we go. And you can do the stick on your sidewalls too if you find, you know, that you need to clean up a little extra. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and do our final dip, or our final color dip on the thumb. So, I don't know, are we gonna hit 800 tonight? I was kind of hoping to give one of these bad boys away. I shouldn't call it a bad boy. One of these pretty ocean air salty hair girls away. So again, I'm just really taking my time and really making sure I get nice, full, beautiful coverage. All right. And that is it. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our Peppi duster brush again, and we're gonna wipe off all that excess powder. And we're gonna pull the clear back out and encapsulate the color. So if you were working with a solid color, your third dip could be another dip of color just to really make sure your full coverage is there. But we are working with a glitter shimmer, and I highly recommend at any time working with a glitter or shimmer, if you want to preserve it to the way that it looks in the jar or on your nails before you buff it, always use clear as your final dip, because it'll protect the glitter and encapsulate it, so you can do just that. Yes, Carrie says using an orange wood stick has changed the cuticle game for her. Girl, I'm telling ya. Like, I was always good at my cuticles before just because I've been doing it for so long. But everybody I did that and tested it to see if I really felt like it was an improvement. And let me just tell ya, I'm telling ya, that cuticle or that orange wood stick really, really does clean it up. And I didn't even realize it. Like, it was just awesome. So now I'm addicted to it. Alright, so now we're going to do a nice thin layer of clear, and we're going all the way. So you really just got to trust the process with Peppi. You really got to trust it. You really got to work through the whole system. You got to go through applying it, and then, you know, buffing and shaping it, and then making sure you do proper prep before you apply it. And once you master all of that, which only takes a few times, you are going to love it. It's going to be amazing. I almost forgot to clean up my clear. Alright. So now we're going in. We got 3 more nails of our last and final dip. I know I've been talking a lot today. I'm sorry. I blame the espresso I had. Alright, so now we're going in. Really make sure our cuticle line is nice, because we really want to protect that color up there. We don't want it to fade while we buff. And just really close it in. And you can see, like, the clear makes it look a little bit dull as soon as you dip it. But don't let that freak you out, because as soon as you buff and apply the number 2 and your shine, it will come right back, as you guys can see over here. Like, first of all, look at that shiny top coat. Holy moly. insane. I'm going to show you guys how I did that. But also just like look at the glitter. It's super protected and just beautiful. And that's why I love clear, because it really just keeps the color in its most natural form that it's supposed to be in. And I'm going to tell you guys my final opinion at the end of this video about what I think about the Apex method versus how I've been dipping for 4 or 5 years now. Alright, and then my final nail, my thumb, for my last and final dip. My thumb, I always have to add a little extra liquid to spread around because I have wide thumbs. So really just take your time with your thumb. As you guys can see, doing your non-dominant hand is not as scary as it seems. It just takes a little bit of practice. And you just gain that muscle memory, and it just becomes easier and easier every time. Oops, did a little too much on the side. That's okay. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move our colors out of the way. I'm gonna dust off my little work surface here a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and brush off all that excess powder off the nails. So now we're going to take our number 2 and we're going to set all the nails. You really want to make sure your number 2 goes in around your side walls and along your cuticle and the tip of the nail. This is what cures the number 1 in the powder to your nail, making it nice and hard, and also for it to stick onto your nails. You don't need to go crazy heavy with this liquid, but you just want to make sure you get a nice little coverage on it. As you guys can see, like that dullness like is already going away. Wait till we buff and shine it. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to take a picture in natural light tomorrow and show you guys. All right. So now at this point we are waiting 2 minutes. What this is doing is allowing the number 2 to absorb into the nails so it can set and cure and become hard and do its thing. So while we wait, I am going to go ahead and just look at some questions. These are my natural nails. There are no tips. I will tell you guys, like for shaping, the one thing that changed my nail shape game was to stop cutting my nails and only filing them. And not only did that force me to get better at shaping my nails, but I also wasn't cutting my nails at an accidental like angle and then trying to overcorrect it with the file shaping. So I highly, highly recommend, like, if you can resist it, because the outcome is just, it's so much better than it was. What am I using to wipe my cuticle? I haven't wiped my cuticle with anything yet, Carol. I'm not sure what that question is referring to. Do you do anything to help grow your nails? I don't. I only put Peppi on my nails. That is the only thing that ever touches my nail bed is Peppi. And Peppi does have added vitamin and calcium, but it's also 9 free, meaning it's free of the 9 harshest chemicals traditionally found in nail polish and beauty products. So that is a huge benefit as well. Ocean Air Salty Hair is the color that I'm using this evening. And it is on sale for $12.99 until live is over. So I saw a question and I can't find it now, and I was trying to go back. Oh, Christy says, my nail is bumpy after dipping. Is it because number 1 is still too wet, or am I dipping wrong? Christy, that is because you're applying too much number one. Number one should be applied very thin. If you apply a lot of liquid or a lot of base, not only will it not dip smoothly, it'll move around like in the powder when you're dipping, but also it's going to absorb more powder, creating a thicker, bumpier finish at the end. So it's very important, like I talked about through my whole number one application, is to do very thin dips. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get with doing a little bit of buffing. The other request tonight was to show you how I do a drill with a non-dominant hand, which is easy because I do that every 2 weeks. So I'm going to show you guys on live. So I am just using a portable bell drill. I really like it because it allows me freedom to not be tied to a nearby outlet. And I'm using this like rainbow drill bit, which is like a sander drill bit. I honestly don't even know where it came from, but it works nice. So I put my drill on a very low setting and I just touch my nails lightly. You don't need to go with a lot of pressure on your nail, and you don't need to do it at a high speed. So low speed, light touch. So then I kind of take the drill, make sure I get in there. See how I can do this on camera. Then I take the drill and I kind of just go at the top here so I can make sure it's nice and smooth. And I go right into the side walls over here. I angle my nail and angle the drill. And I do it on both sides. I don't want my nails to look thick or like the product is squishing off the side of the nail. So it's really important to me personally to make sure I take care of that. And then I just kind of just smooth it all out over top. Now the proper method is to follow the way the drill bit is moving and just kind of go like this. Just go like from one side to the other across, which is the proper method. But doing it on yourself is a little bit trickier. So I just move my finger and drill around whichever way for me to get the job done. So you can see the nails look a little bit rough right now. That's just because we haven't smoothed them out. If you're new to Peppi, you get a buffer in your starter kit. So you don't have to use a drill, but when working with chunky glitters or thicker pigments, a drill is very helpful. But you can 100% do this with only a buffer, which I'm actually still going to use a buffer because I prefer the finish of it in the end. Alright, I'm trying to stay in the frame, sorry guys. And then I'm just going to kind of smooth it out. You can see I got just a little bit right there that I'll have to get with the file. And you can see, like, as you start buffing, the shape just kind of starts to come alive. But we're not done, because even though we shaped them prior to doing our nails, you really want to make sure you just give a touch-up shape afterwards. Alright, ladies, we were so close to 800. What the heck? Am I that boring? Like, nobody wants to stay on and hang out with me, huh? Alright, so now we're going across, and you can see like the cuticle shape, all of that is just coming out really nice. Oh, Ashley, thank you. Emily, thank you. I know you guys are still here. We were so close to 800. We were so close. I know everybody here is still awesome though. All right, and now we're gonna go to our pointer. And we're gonna get over here. And you can see like a little bit of the hump right now. Like here's the perfect shot of a mild apex right here. See the curve? Like it goes down, curves up, and comes down. And it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. By the way, this is my first time ever doing apex, so I didn't know what to expect tonight, but I'm going to tell you how I feel about it here in a little bit after I examine both my hands. All right, and now we're going into our thumb. Thank you, LaShawn. I know I'm not like, I know I talked about this before. I'm not a major chit-chatter, mostly because I just don't know what to talk about. Always happy to answer questions, though, if you guys ever have any, even if it's off topic. But I honestly, like, my passion, though, is just really teaching how to do Peppi gel because, one, I love it so much, and two, I just want you guys to love it and love your kits as much as I do. That's my passion. I'm a nerd. Alright, so now we're done with the drill. As you guys can see, like doing my non-dominant hand versus my dominant hand, the result is the same. It just takes me an extra maybe 5 minutes just because I'm not as fast, you know what I mean? But really, it's super easy. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So I am using a buffer, much like what we offer on our website. I just don't happen to have any here at my home office. And now I'm just giving the nail a nice smooth over. And you can see, like, compared to the drill, if you compare these two nails, like, look how much smoother the buffer is compared to the drill bit. Like, I just love the finish of a buffer. Honestly, I love it. And again, you can do your whole manicure with only a buffer. You don't need a drill. I do both just because my hands get tired from carpal tunnel or whatever that I self-diagnosed myself with. All right, so now we're just going in. And just go into town. Like, you can be rough with this. You're not gonna hurt your nails. Like, really get in there and sand it out. Make sure it's like nice and smooth and pretty because this is the last moment before you shine your nails. And nobody wants to have to redo them later, right? We're all here to save time. So really take your time now and just buff them out and you'll be good to go. Yeah, Ashley finishes with the buffer. Yeah. Yeah, I did the apex, Ashley. It is a lot for me. So I bounce between 3 dips and 4 dips. A lot of how many dips I'm doing is very dependent on my upcoming activities. So like if I know that I'm going to be traveling, or if I know I'm going to be, like recently I've helped with some moves. Like if I know that stuff is going to happen, I'm going to go with 4 dips because I don't want to risk a breakage in the middle of like all those activities, because there's nothing worse than not only feeling the pain of a broken nail, but breaking a nail and then having to deal with that later, right? So I really just judge like how many dips I'm going to do based off of upcoming lifestyle activities going on. So my last one, Just Say Yes, that I posted in the group, I didn't do a live on, that one had 4 dips. It was 1 dip of clear, 2 dips of Just Say Yes, and then 1 dip of clear to encapsulate the glitter. Now, I feel like when I do 4 dips and 2 of them are clear, that really feels like 3 dips to me because the clear is just so thin. There's no pigment in it, so it's such a thin powder that you really don't feel like that added layer, which is why I chose to do clear at the bottom of the apex method, because I wanted to see the apex, but I didn't really want to like feel the apex, if that makes any sense. So now I'm just finishing my buff. And then I'm going to pull out my file. And I'm just going to touch up my shapes. Because once you apply powder, you do lose a little bit of your shape. But if you shaped prior to dipping your nails, at least you have the outline of what you're going for. And you're just touching it up right now. And how I like to do that, and I'm going to try to do it without showing you guys too much of my leg space here, is I always use the edge of my desk. See if you guys can see this. I always use the edge of my desk to file and shape, and I always use a contrasting color in the background. And what that helps me do is to see the outline of my nail shape, but it also really helps me to keep my hand nice and stable, especially with my non-dominant hand. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I always start at the tip to straighten it out, because again, the powder will make it lose its shape just a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and just fix my shape here. If you shape your nails after you're dipping, it's going to be much harder to get your desired shape that you're going for, because now you're not only trying to shape your nail itself, but you're kind of like fighting against the product that you just applied on all your nails. So it's a little bit harder. So I always recommend to shape first and then voila, touch it up. And that's it. You can see like it was such an easy touch up. Now after this, all we're going to do is apply step 2 and the shine coat, and it's super easy. And I always just go right in the sidewall. When I'm shaping my natural nails, I do not do my sidewall like this. It's actually really bad for your nail bed. So I only do it once the product is on, because my nail itself is more or less mostly protected by the product I just applied. And that's it. Now you can see, like, yeah, the shape is overall good over here on the middle finger, but now it's like precise and cleaned up. And sorry, you guys can see a little bit of my legs underneath my ripped jeans, sorry. I try not to show too much. Alright, so now we're just fixing the shape. If you find that you need to clean your cuticle up just a little bit, you can always take your file and do that as well. Which I will check that on mine here in a moment. But I think we're good overall. And you guys notice, like, when I'm doing the harder side to shape, I turn my hand like this. And it really helps to kind of, like, make sure the shape is where I want it to be. When you're trying to do it like this, you can do it. It's just a little bit harder, and if your hand slips, you're going to put your shape at risk that you just worked really hard on. So let me just fix underneath. My middle finger likes to get a little bit pointy at the bottom of my curve of my nail, and I don't like that, so I like to make it a little bit more straight. So you guys can see the process overall is relatively quick. You got about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how speedy fast you're going. In this case, obviously I'm going slow because I'm demoing, but 30 minutes to an hour for a super simple set of Peppi, and you're good to go for 2 or 3 weeks. You guys could go to the salon and like, I don't know, you can drive however far you drive and then wait if there's a line, if you didn't get an appointment, whatever. And then if you're doing dip at the salon, then you like risk, you know, dipping like in the same jar as other people. So this finger actually had a little bit of a corner chip a couple weeks ago. When my nails were in between Peppi cures, I managed to chip it before I put a new Peppi on. But it's so minor that my shape is going to be a little bit off tonight on this finger, but it wasn't like enough to put a tea bag on. So I'm just kind of try to work with it here a little bit and disguise it the best I can. But I'm not, like normally I'm like super picky about that, but it's so small that I just didn't want to invest that extra time tonight. And it definitely will not be perfect, but who's really going to notice? Except you guys, because I pointed it out. And you can see like, it's not too bad. It's just a little rounded on the corner, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera back up so you're not looking at my legs anymore. And to show you guys a real close-up. So at this time, this is when I really like to check and examine my Peppi cure, make sure it's exactly how I want it to look, if I want to fix any mistakes that I noticed. What I do like to do sometimes is just smooth it out one more time because I like my nails to be thin. I don't like them to be thick. So I always just do it one more time. Always keep the foam side of the buffer towards your cuticle so you don't nick your cuticle with the sandpaper on the other side. And I lied, this nail is going to bother me. I should have put a tea bag on. Oh well. You gotta deal with it, Tiff. Gotta deal with it today. Alright, a little bit better. Alright, so that's almost it. We're gonna put our top coat on now and we're gonna call it a night after that. So we are going to apply number 2 one more time. This time we are not going to apply it heavy. We're just gonna apply just enough to kiss the nails. So just enough to kind of get onto the nail, because now the number 2's job is to cure the number 3. So the first time we used it, it cured the powder and the number 1 together to adhere on the nail. This time we're going to use it to cure our shine coat. So if you over apply it, your shine is not going to dry shiny. So very, very important that you do just enough, but not too much. And again, you just want to make sure you get your whole nail bed around the cuticle, in the sidewall, and on your tip. And you guys can see like the cuticle line is on point. That was a little too much on the thumb. So if you noticed a little bit more liquid went on the thumb, it was a little too much. You kind of want to lean more towards what I did over here. So now, this is the most important thing to know, is you do have to wait 2 minutes before you apply your shine. If you do it too soon, your number 2 hasn't had enough time to absorb into the product that's on your nail, leaving just a little bit of activator left to cure the number 3. So it's very, very, again, very important that you wait your 2 minutes. So I have 9:31 on the clock. I'm going to wait my 2 minutes. and then we're going to apply our shine. So here's what they look like right now up close. Of course my skin is dry because they've been in acetone, but that's okay. After every Peppi cure, I love to do a little sugar scrub and a nice like coating of Vaseline, and the next morning I wake up, my skin bounces right back to normal. I also Vaseline probably 20 times a day, to be honest. Alright, so we got about another minute and a half. Oh gosh, Dawn. Dawn says she's got $109 in her cart. Girl, whatever you get, you're not going to be disappointed. Just treat yourself. Jennifer wants to know, when do we know when it's that time to throw out the buffers or the files? Girl, I never throw mine out. Never. Like, I will reuse and reuse and reuse my buffers all the time, but I will say, like, this buffer, I'll still use it because I use it in my nail prep. But if like all of this black went away and there was a lot of orange, then maybe it's time because you don't have any grit left to buff your nails. But yeah, like truly, I literally like, you can see like I save them and I use them until they're all the way down. There's no waste in here. So we got another minute. At about the 1 minute mark, I like to take my paper towel and just go ahead and wipe that excess number 2 residue off the nail bed. And then I will fold my paper towel to the opposite way of what just touched my nails because I don't want that residue to touch my number 3 brush. So it's now time for me to apply the shine. Very important, 2 to 3 quick strokes. Don't go too slow on your first layer because you're going to end up allowing number 2 to absorb into the brush, and that will make your number 3 brush hard. So completely avoid that. So we're going to go 2 to 3 quick strokes and wipe the brush on the paper towel. To prevent product contamination from going into your bottle. And as you can see, my strokes are quick and I am sticking with 2 to 3. I am not overlapping them. Also very important. Overlap as minimally as possible because you'll end up just smearing your number 2 residue if you don't. And wipe the brush on the paper towel. And now we're immediately going to go back in and do our final coat of shine. Yes, you have to do 2 coats of shine. If you don't, you'll notice your first coat is just gonna dry dull. And it's drying dull because the number 2 is curing it, so you have to have the 2 coats so it cures just the right amount so the top coat stays shiny. There's no way you can alter that method. That's something we all have to do the same. You can overlap on your second coat, just not your first coat. And as you guys can see, I moved quick. My brush never got hard on me, and that's really the secret, is to move quick, because again, on that first layer of shine, that's your barrier contact. It's the first contact to separate your number 2 from your shine. After I do all of my nails, I dip back in the bottle a time or 2 and wipe the brush. Oh, I don't think you guys saw it. And just wipe the brush on a clean spot of the paper towel to just eliminate any extra possible number 2 residue. Your number 3, also very important bottle care to avoid the brush from touching the rim or the neck of the bottle. Super important. It's not an adhesive, but it has adhesive type properties, so you just don't want to risk your bottle getting shut, but just use the inside wiper. You can see it in there. right. Wait, hold on. I'm seeing an interesting question. Okay. Ashley says, could you add another top layer of number 3 if it starts to dull? So sometimes that will work. Most of the time it will not work. You have too much number 2, or the time lapse is off. Like something is off, so it still will not cure properly. So the best thing that you can do if you mess up on your number 3 is to just let it dry, let it absorb, and wait at least an hour before you go back and try to fix it. If you try to fix it right away, what you're doing is adding more activator, more number 2, and it's going to be too much in your nail to cure the number 3 properly. So I see all the time, like, people will try to fix it, but it's still dull, and, well, that's why, because there's just too much number 2 in the nail. So you want to wait at least an hour, excuse me, I got the hiccup, before you try to go in and fix it. And you guys can see, like, doing your non-dominant hand, again, is not scary. Cuticle lines are on point. I just went a little bit slower, took my time, got myself a nice little apex method going on here, which is really nice. So for my final views on the apex, this is what I'm going to say. I think the method is really great. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's my first time doing it, so I maybe will try it another time or two just to kind of really develop a full opinion. But it is really good the way that I did it and the way that you are supposed to do it, because it really helps to keep your sidewalls like thin, so product isn't like overspilling, you know, onto your skin around the nail. And again, it also really creates that look for like a narrow nail, which is really nice because I actually have really wide nail beds. But I mean, gosh, I don't know, like I'm looking at it and I am actually really loving my pedicure here. So I will say one thing, I do notice the added strength that it gives where we painted that clear right here. I do feel like extra strength in there without feeling like a whole layer, like 4th layer added to my nails. So this method is intended for longer nails. If you have short nails, it's not really the best method for you because you're creating a hump, like you're creating a curve in the middle of your nail. But if you have really short nails and you're creating your curve like all the way up here, like in the top, like it's going to be thick for you. It's not going to be as thin as like what you see on longer nails like you do here, because I created my curve like way down here. So it was like low, up, and then low versus up high. So I hope that makes sense. I really do like the method. I think it's really nice. I don't know why I waited so long to try it. My only concern, I will say, with a darker color is you might not want to use clear for your final coat because you want to get full coverage on to your nails. So like if you didn't prep well enough and like your first layer you had a bare spot, which I actually did on, I think it was this nail, but I actually can't see it, so it covered really nicely. But if you have a bare spot and you're working with a thinner pigmented color and that shows through on your second dip, you're not going to be too happy. So you definitely have to play with it. I think the way you do an apex will vary on what type of color you're using and if you're using chunky glitter or not. But overall, it is a really great process, and I recommend trying it. Like, if you're new to Peppi, just try it. You never know. It could be the process for you. All right. I am about to sign off. I have been talking way too much. So if you want the Ocean Air Salty Hair, please go ahead and grab it because I'm about to turn it off. But if anybody has any questions, I will wait for like a minute or two if you guys want to ask anything. I'm just gonna wait and read. You're welcome, Gina. Good night, Ruth. Oh, I don't think she said she was going to bed, but I saw the puppy was going crazy. You're welcome, Shelly. Thank you, Tarina. So I'll post a picture tomorrow. Maybe next time I can test like Apex side by side with my normal dipping. And again, like if you have really flat nail beds or nail beds that kind of like go in a little bit, which I noticed like that does happen, Apex is really good for you. But I already have like a natural Apex on my nail bed, so I didn't need to do like the 5 dip one. So I just did the 3-4 dips, 3.5 dips really. Alright, yeah, I want to see your Ocean Air Salty Hair Peppi Cures next week when you guys get them in. Alright, ladies, Vanessa says, can we get a demo of Kiwi or Stars and Stripe? That goes on differently. Yes, so I do have chunky glitter tutorials out there. I actually have a tutorial for just about everything, but I will do one for those in a couple weeks when it's my turn to do live again. Alright, ladies. Dana, I wipe my brush off on the first coat in a different spot of the paper towel. Very important. And then after I do my second coat, I just kind of wipe the brush before I seal the bottle up until my next Peppi. Yep, live is every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Stacy, if you end up with bare spots on the edge of your sidewalls, that is related to prep, so make sure you're getting in that sidewall. It's really hard to do with a buffer, so maybe use a file or a drill and just give it a really light sand, but don't do anything too crazy because you don't want to hurt your nail bed. Just a really nice light buff. Alright, ladies, I'm signing off for the night. I hope you guys have a really good evening, and I will see you all next week or the week after. Good night.